Welcome back to the Telusive Tech Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. My Mac Studio and Studio Display are out for delivery right now. So they could come in the middle of the recording.
But who cares? Because
Probably
while
not,
we were doing EV, this now is obsolete. This sucks. Ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, get that out of there. That blue, go away.
Dated blue.
Look at this.
Disgusting.
I avoided showing this all over EV, but we finally got Randy Green.
Beautiful.
And two Randy Greens.
Dang. Do you have your 11 Pro to compare?
I do. That's what I was going to grab. All right. Fill the air. Say something, Drew. Talk about life. Who cares?
All right. Nick, you're not getting anything today, are you?
No, I messed up, remember? And
Oh, right.
I'm
You canceled the first one. That's the only one you're getting.
yeah, that was the only that I was only going to get the Studio Mac Studio, but I messed
Gotcha.
that up. Oh well.
And I've got the
Okay.
12 mini
It's back.
for comparison
Ooh.
as well of the 13
Wow.
mini.
Oh, okay.
So here,
Awesome.
the OG.
This is the first unboxing I've watched,
Randy
actually.
has a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go through all of the devices that are on his desk.
I'll tell you the problem. Nobody wants to buy these things. I'm gonna put them up on Swappo. So
Oh, yeah.
this is
That too.
what we have, and now you guys see,
Black
and we're
12 mini.
replacing it.
Green.
There we go. There you go. This is for our audio listeners. This is a
Dang.
very visual element. So I'm just doing a side by side of the 12. I'm sorry, of the 12
11
mini
Pro.
and the 11
11
Pro.
Pro.
So which one should I do first? Let's do the mini. Why not? Okay. So
Sure.
ASMR. ASMR.
Oh, you're right. Excuse
Oh,
me.
There's
yeah.
no crinklies anymore, huh?
No,
Yeah, the plastic's gone.
it's all paper. But let's see if I can pick it up. I'm watching the audio to see. It got picked up.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Make sure you
Mini.
drop it right as you take it out.
I almost, yeah. Hello.
Ooh, it's so shiny.
Oh,
Look at that.
Dang.
Dude, that is your
Whoa.
color,
Glossy.
Randy. That is your color.
this is
That is
beautiful.
How does
Really
it feel
good
to be
color.
catered to so hard?
And you know, if I feel like Apple listened, I feel like Apple,
Apple
really
listens to you.
cares. You know what? Hey, moral of the story: spend thousands in their products, and maybe one day you'll get your color too. Okay, so I'm doing this for you guys, and now for you, fine gentlemen. Yep, there.
Very
Beautiful.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
All right.
I dig it.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Just
You almost
yeets it into
swiveled
the
it up.
table.
All right. ASMR again for our everybody's. Here we go.
Beautiful.
That was not as good.
Didn't hear
This
it, but it sounded amazing
green,
in my imagination.
this green aluminum.
Ooh, beautiful.
I like the way it contrasts with the black glass. They
Yes.
complement each
Oh,
other
wow.
very
First,
well.
first you guys get to see it, and
Dang.
now
I like it.
for our YouTube viewers, if I can get it to focus. Come on, camera.
Beautiful.
There we go. All right, so anyway,
It wants to focus on the real beauty.
That's so
now
gorgeous.
quick side by side. Oh, there's a weight difference. Yep, there's more battery. I can feel it.
Really?
Yes,
You can feel it.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
this feels so like a feather.
Green paint is heavier
Yeah,
than
green
black
paint.
paint.
That is how science works. The green paint
And the
makes
camera-
it heavier.
camera bumps are-
the anodization. More
Wow.
photons.
Okay. I'm not mad. What a beautiful color. Okay, let's do
It's a shame
Alpine
it's
Green.
60 hertz. Otherwise, I would have bought that one.
I am so glad I don't live in your hell.
160 hertz.
Except you want the max, and that's what I got.
All right, here we go.
All right,
We've
ladies
got a
and gentlemen,
glass
the
of
main
water in this
course.
hill.
Let's get dinner.
Got Alpine Green now. This will sound good on mic. There you go. One more. And
Not that way. Don't. Okay. Unbox it upside down.
I'm holding on to it. All right,
Good.
here we go. Camera, and you guys see it at the same time.
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow.
Wow. Ooh, that looks good.
Randy's got a face for YouTube thumbnails there. Tim Cook sent me an iPhone.
Holy crap. Tim Cook
he's
sent me
keeping
this,
it.
and you're
He's
paying
keeping
for it.
ladies and gentlemen. I know he's keeping it. He's keeping it.
Tim Cook sent me.
This is Randy's last iPhone for a while, I think.
Dang.
I've missed this form factor, and let's do an immediate side by side. There.
Ooh,
Whoa, it's
even
way greener.
More greener.
Yes.
Your 11 Pro looks space gray now.
Totally.
Even on right here. Wow. When I hit it with the ring light here, it all gets kind of washed out. Wow. But right here, offsetting it, you guys can see. Of course, somebody wants to blow leaves now. This is way greener right there, and for you guys, you can see it. Yeah.
Dude, that's cool.
Holy crap! Oh my god.
I like that shade of green much better than the 11 Pro.
Wait, put it next to the blue.
I was just grabbing it, good sir.
Nice.
All right. So first,
The camera bump looks more proportional on the Max to me.
it really does. This.
It looks obnoxious on the regular Pro.
I'm doing this for you, doing it for them. All angles and glaring. There we go. And first thought, it feels good to grab this form factor again because it's so boxy. It feels like I'm holding. My takeaway from when we were reviewing all the phone, or at least I was doing all the phones. My takeaway when we got the first shipments in was that holding the Pro Max in this big old boxed formation, as opposed to doing the minis that we all three of us did last year, it feels less of a phone and it feels more of like its own. Like it should be its own market. I don't mean phablet. I mean like I treat this as a camera and as a communication device first, not a phone. And where I'm holding the mini,
Are you getting it?
Are you getting it? These are not one device. I got 5 phones on my desk right now.
You have so many
5
phones.
iPhones, Randy.
This is. I have to agree with you though, Drew. Give me the aluminum border any day of the week.
Thank you.
On the Pro
Yeah, I do not
Max.
like the steel personally.
It's so beautiful. I'm gonna do a side by side photo once I set up here and we talk about other things. I'll let you guys talk for a while.
It'd also be lighter.
It's noticeable. It's grippier still. Just holding it. I'm holding it, and I can feel how this slides so much more easily. This has that grip, and Apple. Good job, Apple. These are beautiful colors. I am so happy.
Well done.
To be honest with you, as sickening as it might say out loud, is my goal to try to convince my wife to switch to this phone. If she doesn't, I might try to find a way to keep this phone still, just because I think it's so beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vote with your wallet. Vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
Just gonna have a stack of iPhones in the corner.
I know,
Just being
and
like,
this is where
I want Apple to make more of these.
I'll hand this off back to you guys, but I'll conclude with saying that, like, I know it's all but kind of confirmed, as confirmed can be, that this year's iteration of iPhones for the 14s, there will be no more mini, and that's sad because I think this is peak phone design for everything it's worth. For what it's worth, the battery being improved, and I remember running it with the 13 mini, the product red that I had, and I was getting longer battery life. For Apple to continue this trajectory, doing this, call it the ideal SE or whatever the case may be for down the road. Like this deserved more attention than what it got, and I'm just sad that like I'm in the minority of what people are buying, I guess. And for that reason, I might be able to try and make a case. If not, I can rationalize in my head to keep this 13 mini as like this is the very last 13 mini that came out in 2022 or released in 2022. Like this was the very last mini Apple did, and I could find solace in that if I was able to justify holding on to this, the best designed I thought for the longest in the color. I'm ready to sell this now. I don't even need this anymore. This would take its place. But
it doesn't need it.
If this is the end of the mini, I'm going to very much enjoy running with this for 2 weeks and seeing what will happen. But kudos Apple for making beautifully colored
That green is for
I'm
you,
so
though, Randy.
happy.
Like, I'm pretty sure that
It is.
Tim just, like, asked you. He was. I know he's in our
Off the
dreams.
record.
Tim's in our dreams all the times. But that one
Correct.
specific time, Tim was like, Randy, what's your dream green color? While you were dreaming, you're just like, you visualized it in, like, the most color bit depth way.
No, I went to
and
his
you
house.
just
What do you
copy and
mean?
pasted that.
We talked.
Oh, you went to his house? Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
123 Tim Cook
Tim
Street.
Cook de mis sueños.
Is that it? Is that the address?
Yeah, it's 123 Tim Cook Street. Yep.
All right. Okay.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Wow.
Well,
Beautiful.
thanks for showing us those.
Dude,
I'm glad
that's
someone
cool.
on the
I'm
show got
glad,
those.
Glad you were able to get those.
I selfishly, I'm
represent.
hoping that you get your studio as we're recording, just so
Yeah.
I could just
We could
kind
all
of
have
at least see the
something.
box. But I know Drew would do his
I
own
hope so,
streaming,
too.
but
Yeah.
my God,
I don't
this
know
is
yet.
The perfect,
Depending on when it gets here.
yeah.
That's such a good green, though, dude. Oh my gosh.
I promise you, it's looking
Is it-
even better in person than what I'm able to even.
I'm
convey.
calling it. You're keeping that thing. You're keeping that thing.
This is
Oh,
this
yeah.
is definitive. I'm keeping this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best to try
Mm-hmm.
to keep this in the family somehow. Everything else, like with
In
these
the
two,
family.
yeah.
Kika's phone.
Kika's phone. It was just her birthday.
Kika
Maybe
gets
it's a
the
belated
13
birthday
mini.
present, Drew.
Yeah.
To her, it's an iPad Pro, 12.9 inch. Yeah.
With their little pad.
For those who don't know, Kika is
Yeah.
Randy's dog.
Yeah. She's my executive producer on this side of the Taylor's of podcasts. She makes sure everything runs smooth. Hi, baby. Yeah, we're talking about you. Do you want an iPhone? All right. So I would say with these two phones, I can actually downgrade everything else and just ideally just have these two phones in some capacity. If my wife doesn't want to have this, then I don't know. But I am keeping this one a million times over. I'm keeping this one.
Good.
And if there's no green iPhone introduced later on this summer, or this summer, technically it's still summer, in September,
Fall.
then I'm still riding my high. So hi, welcome to Taylor's of Tech
Wonderful.
Podcast. How's everyone else
Now
doing?
we're back.
Now we're back.
Out of review
good.
mode until Drew gets his studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be able to do much with it. I realize I don't have a keyboard and mouse in here. The iMac Pro is not in the office anymore.
I saw.
But Universal Control is out for the public. We were talking
really?
about that last week.
Oh, finally, I can update
Yeah.
my computers. Woohoo!
Please do.
Yeah,
Okay,
I was going to say, I hope you have a spare keyboard and mouse to set up your Mac Studio with when it shows up.
I do.
Because I might need to grab the old Space Gray ones from the other room.
See, how do you even update software update?
Unless there's a way, if they make a way for me to set up the Mac Studio, because I saw this pop-up that I hadn't seen before of like when you plug in the Mac, you get a pop-up on your iPhone, just like you would set up this iPhone or set up this iPad. You know what I'm saying? A little like sign in with Apple ID in the Wi-Fi settings. They do that for Macs now, which I wasn't aware of. So if I plug in the Mac Studio, I wonder if I can set it up through my iPhone.
Ooh.
And then just universal control
Ooh.
through my MacBook Pro and use the Mac Studio with the laptop and never actually dock a keyboard and mouse to it. I don't know if that'll work. Probably not, but it would be kind of cool. I hope that's a thing.
I have to agree.
But did you guys catch any of the Mac Studio and Studio Display reviews that have dropped over the
I've
past
seen
week?
a few of
The
them,
embargoes?
and people seem to be whelmed, like exactly whelmed. And I'm like, guys, this is not the point. They're like, it's $1,500 for a monitor that doesn't even do HDR, and it's just 5K at 60. I'm like, guys, but it doesn't look ugly. It's the nicest looking monitor
know,
out
right?
there. What the heck, guys? Ugh.
It's all these people that have had the Pro Display for 3 years.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
exactly.
So they don't see it as valuable or special. I'm looking at it like, oh my god, there's finally a clean looking monitor that's not $6,000. Do you guys realize you could get 3 studio displays for the less than 1 Pro display?
Yeah.
Wow.
And all those studio displays will come with a stand. And the Pro display still won't. Like, I don't think people
Big mistake, Apple.
are appreciative of the price as much as they should be.
Oh, I am.
People were like, oh my god, the nano textured glass is an extra $300, and the height adjustable stand is an extra $400. I was like, guys, it was $1,000 for nano textured before, and it was $1,000 for the Pro stand before.
Right.
Now you can get both for less than half. That's progress, ladies and gentlemen. Relatively speaking, that's a step in the right direction. No, I'm sorry, Apple doesn't make the cheapest monitor in the world. But the cheapest monitors in the world are all plasticky and basic, and they're not.
I'm still waiting for the knockoff studio display. Like, I still physically can't understand why Philips or Samsung or Asus or any of these freaking companies hasn't figured out, okay, maybe we just make one that doesn't look like it freaking belongs on a gamer desktop. Like, whatever.
Something minimal, something with
Exactly, because
equal
$1,500
bezels,
is still a lot for a monitor. I'll give all of the reviewers that. It is a lot for a monitor. It is 5K, which is nice, but personally I think I'd rather have WDR, like a wider dynamic range, but whatever. I don't know.
I don't like putting up with the ugly chassis of the monitor business.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all so
suck.
disgusting looking.
And now, like, oh, it supports USB-C, but you gotta have this ugly power brick under your desk, and it's like, no, it's dumb.
And every time you move it, it makes all these crackling sounds. I hate all that. So having just an aluminum chassis is refreshing, and a flat back, and the high power Thunderbolt connection. I'm excited to try that out personally. I'm more excited to review the Studio display than the Mac Studio. Maybe because I'm in the market for a monitor and not a new Mac, but
Yeah.
Well, when you try that Ultra chip out, it's just gonna blow your mind.
I am worried how spoiled I'll feel
Yeah.
trying exporting and everything with the Ultra. I'm going to start getting comfortable with that, and then it's going to make my MacBook Pro that I spent too much money on feel slow, and I don't want that. I'm kind of worried I'll get too
Well, that's what they
cozy
do
with
to
it.
us.
I'm sure you saw it, Drew. I'm just assuming because you're the all-seeing Drew. Nick, did you see the webcam comparison of the Studio display compared to every
I
other?
did, from that Wall Street Journal lady.
Yeah. My heart.
No
I was
comments.
like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
And then Apple's like, oh, we're working
Apple
on a fix for
claims
this.
it's a software thing.
Whew. You know,
My question is, how do you update the software on that monitor?
You actually plug it into your Mac. It's literally running iOS. Some guy got
I saw that part.
yeah. It's like
I don't
600
understand
megabytes.
that.
what software caused it to look like it was that?
Yeah, isn't this the whole point of the A13 chip being in there in the first place?
Right?
And it can't even do its job? Hey, this is the first time an A13 chip has been coupled with a Thunderbolt connection.
Ooh, true.
You are
This is
right.
the closest we've been
to
to having an
USB-C.
iPhone with USB-C. So I like the Studio display for that reason alone. It gets us that much closer. And 4
telling me
USB-C
it's
ports,
possible.
let alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we know it's possible for A13 to work with Thunderbolt. But yeah, the webcam I was probably the most excited for out of all the features it had announced for it, because I love Center Stage and I've always wanted it on the Mac, and now you can technically add Center Stage to just about any Mac, which is kind of awesome. So finding out the webcam was subpar is a little bit depressing. But like, does the monitor restart when it updates? Will it give you a pop-up?
So
or
what you're telling me
something?
is this is an iMac.
It's basically
The first Intel 27
underpowered
inch, the
iMac.
non-Intel 27 inch iMac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they booted. Remember the dev kit? They boot macOS off of the A12Z chip.
That's right.
So
Yeah, you're right.
theoretically, you could boot macOS off of the A13 if you.
I
if
can't
you
wait for
really
someone
wanted
to
I
hack
bet
it.
it would work. Yeah,
Oh,
it would be a great iMac, honestly.
It would.
Why not?
Like A13.
How much-
Like that would work for email and web browsing and like
It would handle basics, yeah. But I mean, like, how much more do you think that machine would cost if they just made a Studio display and threw in an M1 chip or maybe even a binned M1 Pro.
You're already looking
Just
at the
that's it.
prices. It could cost that much. It could maybe round up $2,000. Just
The
round up.
silicon is like the cheapest.
It would be
part,
$2,000
right?
because they stuck the M1 chip in the $500 iPad Air. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well 6, but yeah, but pretty much. I'm pretty sure like all of the money that goes into developing the silicon is spent up front. Once you're actually mass producing the chip, it's probably dirt cheap to just start throwing that in everything. That's why they threw the A15 in the iPhone SE. Is it's like we already spent the money on producing it. We're already building these chips. Might as well just throw them in something. So I'm just saying, Apple, make the Studio Display with a M1 Pro chip. It doesn't even have to be M1 Max. You can restrict that to the Mac Studio if you want. Like I don't know what the thermal envelope is in the Mac Studio. It probably doesn't have any fans in it, right?
the Mac
I
Studio.
assume. Oh, sorry, Studio Display. Ugh.
Oh, Studio Display. Maybe it does.
We got
so,
one more
so
to
it
go,
has an
too.
internal power
We're
supply. Go ahead.
It has an internal power supply, so
That's why it's so thick.
right. Is that why the iMac is thinner? Because the
The power
power
supply's
bricks
on
on
the
the
floor.
outside?
Yep. That's why it's so thin.
Okay. Why isn't
Why am I learning
does
so
the
much
Pro
about
Display
this
XDR
right now?
have fans? Yeah,
Like, huh.
because the Pro Display XDR has the whole cheese grater on the back, right? So there's fans in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. In the Pro Display
Yeah.
XDR? Maybe.
It has a cooling system.
I mean, I'll just have to buy one and see.
Why are there all those
let me
holes?
just go order one real
Okay.
quick.
Yeah, I'm doubting myself now because you guys are making me doubt myself with the hesitation. I'm fairly confident there's a cooling system for the Pro XDR because it would overheat otherwise with all that Pro
The custom
XDR-ness.
drivers and yeah. Well, I mean, they do mini LED in the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pros, which don't have fans directly attached to the displays.
They're
but
significantly smaller.
that's true. They are much smaller, so it's a much lower powered panel.
Yeah.
And,
And I don't think it goes as bright as the XDR. The XDR has everything going on.
I think they have a peak brightness that's the same, but the typical nits are. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think the Pro Display can be just at normal settings. You're not even watching anything in HDR, and it'll be at 1,000 nits, whereas the MacBook Pros, even with mini LED, are 500 for everyday use. And then if you watch HDR content, then it can go up to 16. But that's very bright. I was watching a YouTube video the other day that was uploaded in an HDR, and I noticed it immediately. I hate HDR so much.
You hate HDR?
It's so stupid.
Dude, I just discovered HDR.
Where?
In photography. So I
Oh,
just discovered HDR bracketing, and I've been having the time of my life. Being able to have all of your highlights and lowlights exposed perfectly, and all the shadows. I want
all
more
it
HDR.
means to me is
I
the
want more dynamic
brightness of
range.
my phone getting way too high.
Oh yeah.
At least with videos, because I just saw a video and I was like, oh, I want to watch this, and I tapped it, and then my brightness was like, I went, oh my god, what happened? And I checked my brightness settings and nothing was wrong. It's just like, oh, this video was shot in HDR, so it means I have to boost all the peak nits on the display, and I'm like, I don't like this. This is distracting. I don't feel like there's more range, even though on some technical level with some display calibration camera they probably were like, oh, see, they hit this brightness and this brightness. It's like my eyes aren't ready for it. My eyes are trained for typical nits. They're not ready for just this flashlight on the front to go off. Where can you view your HDR photos, Nick?
So they're still re-exported at standard range, but you can edit them in HDR, which allows you to have like I don't know how to describe it. You can basically do the impossible. When you take a picture of like the launch tower with the sun behind it, and it's like typically I always had to choose, do I want the launch tower to be exposed or the sky in the background? And now I can have both
Yesn't.
perfectly exposed. It's like,
But it's still viewed at
but
standard
it's still
range.
viewed in standard range. But it's made me notice now all of the SDR stuff. And it's like,
Good, Anakin. Good.
perhaps I need a new MacBook Pro.
Are you still eyeing the MacBook?
What?
Are you still eyeing the MacBook? Or
Yeah.
is it you all in on Mac Studio?
Listeners of the Taylor of EV podcast know that I just spent way too much money, so
Yeah.
we're holding back on the Mac purchases for the moment. But yes, I'm also trying to hold back because I think Scott made a prediction that I'll have a new MacBook Pro by the end of 2020. And so if I can wait till like January 1st, 2023, then he can be wrong. So that's kind of also what I'm waiting for.
So
that's all
just for
that
Scott,
matters.
we're going to hold off.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yep.
But there will be more certified refurbished options by then. So
I hope so.
you could get a good deal on one. And if you got like a entry-level 14-inch MacBook Pro refurbished, it would be mini LED, so it has the HDR crap you care about. But I still think you can get an impressive amount of dynamic range with a non-HDR panel. That's why I'm not really that upset about the Studio Display not having mini LED. Is like, I've seen videos where it's just like everything is well balanced. I think HDR might be one of those things that's far more useful for the pros on the creative side of content. So it's like, you know how to color correct and you know how to balance the lighting, but then at the end of the day, you play it on a typical display that's non-HDR and it still looks good. Shows like, I don't know why it came to mind, but Better Call Saul has a lot of shots like that where there's like a bunch of sunlight, but there's also a bunch of stuff in the shade, and they like balance it so that the sky isn't overblown. And I've watched it on TVs that I know for a fact don't have HDR capability. They're just LCD panels, and I'm like, this looks great. Like, this was shot really well, and I'm sure they shot it with some HDR camera, but at the end of the day, they just export that as a normal file, and it looks great. So, I don't subscribe to this. We need like HDR content optimized. That we need HDR YouTube videos or HDR pictures. Or I'm not a fan, honestly. When I was in Puerto Rico and I was filming everything off my iPhone, people were like, "Oh, since you're outside, you should shoot in that Dolby Vision HDR thing." And I tried. It literally
Broke Final
looked
Cut?
worse. Like, not broke Final Cut. Final Cut was fine, but the image it pulled out was worse dynamic range. I don't get it at all. It's like, you had one job, Dolby Vision. There's literally one purpose, and it makes the sky way too bright, and it makes my face way too dark. And I'm sure there's some color science calculator thing that's like, hey, by the way, you're getting more accurate lighting or whatnot. But when I filmed at the normal mode at typical HEVC, you could see me better. Like, it was more well balanced and it wasn't blown out. I was like, what is the point of this mode? I don't get it. You guys shoot anything in HDR?
No. Well, yes. I lied. Wow. How comfortable am I to lie to you so quickly? I
dare you.
don't mean to lie or shoot in HDR. But I do. Yeah. I stick with it. But everything that gets converted over to Final Cut, I put that HDR tool filter on it and immediately put it to the standard, and it's fine. I try to manipulate it in different ways because like my monitor here, my ultra wide, doesn't do HDR. So for example, Drew, you saw my video I did a couple days ago with my song, and I was filming in the air. That
Right.
looked amazing on the phone, and it didn't quite translate well over on Final Cut when I flattened everything. But a simple crisp contrast filter dropped on it, fixed most of its weirdness of where I was like, oh, now it looks cool again. And I just left it like that, and it was cool enough for me. The ability to increase the brightness on displays with HDR seems to be, it is cool on a technical level. It's kind of overhyped for me.
I agree.
It's the 5G of cameras. It's not. We're so early
it's the
there.
5G of video.
Yeah, it will be relevant for me to start doing all this stuff when every screen everybody has HDR, I'm like, oh, okay, well, now we're all on the same page here. But for now, as we're all early adopters to it, and you're kind of like forced into using it, I'm like, all right, it looks good on the phone, but it takes me out of the element. For the moment I, like, on YouTube, I press play, boom, and it's right there in your face. I'm like, oh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. So I almost taken back. I'm out of the element for a second. All right, and I'm back. Okay, and then it kind of, it's kind of like a bit of a disruptor. It's to show you its capabilities, and I like what it does. But it's not a standard. The HDR isn't a standard yet. I mean, we still got we got phones. We got.
I'm not
iPhones.
sure it ever will be.
iPhones in 2020.
There's like 10 different HDR standards.
The iPhone in 2022, the iPhone SE, it's not even a 1080 display still, right? And that's by design because it's reusing an old concept. And I would have said that, like, oh, HDR will be as common as when 1080p is the standard, but 1080p isn't even the standard still, technically. And we're just talking iPhone. Or ProMotion at 120 hertz or 90 hertz, anything above 60 hertz. It's hard to remind myself sometimes that, like, oh wait, no, I'm in the forefront of technology, so I'm always taking in this stuff pretty early. This hasn't rolled out everywhere else yet. And that's how I see HDR. It's like, it's cool that I get to see it on my phone, but I only get to see it on my phone. It's the one thing I have with me now. It is, granted, the most thing I use. I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. That's cool. But I, as a creator, I don't film with that in mind, which is why I'll put that HDR tool on it and drop it down to its regular standard SDR. And right, I do that because my expectation of someone else to watch it, I want it to be one size fits most, not this size fits you type of a thing. So yeah, it's exact same reason why I don't do spatial audio in the music right now. It's not, it's all, this is all cool stuff on a technical scale. It's just not the standard yet. I get we want to make it the standard, but I mean, look at USB-C and how that didn't become the standard. Yeah, now we're going back to legacy ports for things. Look at Touch Bar. That didn't become the standard. Touch ID or 3D Touch. That didn't become the standard. How dare you? I call it like it is, Drew.
How dare you bring that up?
Touch Bar, 3D Touch, Touch ID. They all have these weird things where, like, they're great, and yet none of them are standard. So, yeah.
I don't think HDR will become a standard, to be honest. I think it's been around for a long time. It's not a new thing, and no one can just agree on it, and I don't think it's noticeably that much better. I think all people notice when they watch an HDR video is, wow, that's bright. This is really bright. I don't pick up on, wow, I can see everything in so much more detail. It's too much. Our eyes don't like that much conflicting brightness, in my opinion. Like, watching someone else pull up an HDR video on their phone, they're like, oh, what the? It's like, that's why we wear sunglasses. It's because humans don't like HDR. We're trying to get back to standard definition when we go outside because everything's too bright.
I'm actually really sensitive to the sunlight. I have to wear sunglasses outside. It hurts my eye. I get migraines so crazy. Like, oh, nope.
I know a ton of people like that. Yeah. My parents are the same way. They have to. I'll probably get there, but
nothing's cooler than me being outside, being like,
Can your eye adjust to the different brightness? It's like, yeah, it can, but it's annoying. We don't want to.
It burns.
We'd rather have everything. Yeah, it burns. That's how I feel. It's like staring into the sun, playing an HDR
My eyes!
It's like using Discord light mode. It's inappropriate. It shouldn't exist.
Should not be allowed.
It's unacceptable. You know what I was thinking of with this studio display coming is that the expectation has been the thief of joy for me, because the only reason I was hoping this monitor would be 120 hertz is because my MacBook Pro is 120 hertz. If you guys remember, like, last year we were going into the MacBook season not knowing that was going to be a thing. No one was suggesting that. it wasn't until like a few days before the event that Ross Young was like, oh, by the way, promotion. And all leading up to that, I was totally prepared for a 60 hertz MacBook Pro, and I was willing to spend all the money on a 60 hertz MacBook Pro. If Apple would have just not given promotion to the new MacBooks, I would not have batted an eye at the studio display. I would have been like, oh, great, perfect. And I'd be like, it doesn't have XDR, whatever, I don't care. It's fine, as long as I get a nice, clean-looking external monitor. But simply because now Apple made that expectation, I'm like, oh, but it's not 120. Oh, it's like, threw me off. It's all the MacBook's fault, basically. I blame you. I was just, in 2021, I was just hoping for 120 hertz on the phone. That was all I was looking for. And
in 2021, I was just hoping for a new MacBook so I could upgrade finally.
In 2021, I was just looking for the world not to completely suck.
That's right. Yeah.
That's all he was waiting for. Yeah.
I am shocked. No, nay. Not shocked. I am disappointed that we are still playing catch up as a whole. Like we know Apple is capable of doing promotion things on all things.
But Thunderbolt limits it to 4K at 120 is the limit of Thunderbolt 4, but Apple insists on all these 5K panels, and
nothing in my life has ever required me to have a 5K anything.
No, I agree. It's overkill. It's too much.
I've grown accustomed at this distance of this monitor here in front of me, and it's 1440, and I'm like, at first I was like, oh, I can see the pixels because it's so wide, but then I'm like, no, it's fine. Same reason why it's actually fine being 60 hertz. I sit down to get a job done, and that's my focus. And that's everyday people. Just sit down and get the job done. And if Apple's trying to make a studio display that's not the highest, best, whatever, 5K, this, that, like, the studio display is should be, I would think, for the everyday person that's not wanting to have an all-in-one iMac.
Right.
You don't need a 5K, and that would affect so much. They prioritize a camera that now looks like a potato again, quality, and then a mic.
Center stage potato.
A center stage potato, lovely. So you don't even need to do the bokeh background because it does it automatically for you because it's so crap. Allegedly, it's software, so maybe it'll get fixed. And I hope it does, because that, to me,
I really hope it does.
I would upgrade strictly because if it was the same, it's a 1080p. If it's the same thing as an iMac or the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Pro was the barrier of entry. Like, this is as low as I'm willing to compromise to use a webcam display. It's this current MacBook Pro. I like the mic system. It's done well for you, Drew, on your streams and when you've recorded on the podcast with it. Like,
it's wonderful.
It's the mic is great, and the speaker system on the MacBooks great. And if this display, studio display, is the same as the iMac, you had nothing but great things to say about the iMac Pro. So in all sense, it's like it's almost perfect if we would just get rid of the 5K to have promotion. But luckily for me, and why I'm so adamant that I fix the camera then, is because I just don't care about the promotion. But I would want it.
I would want it. I want to know if you guys think this scenario is likely, because I know Apple, I've been following them for a while, and I know that they're probably...
I've heard about them.
They're a little startup. Yeah. They're probably not going to do the whole 2 Thunderbolt ports thing. Can we agree on that?
2 Thunderbolt ports.
You plug in 2 cables to your MacBook and 2 cables to the monitor. No. That's not an Apple style.
They'd make a proprietary cable that is 2 Thunderbolt cables in a different shape. So,
it's just 2 Thunderbolts attached to each other. But do you think it is possible that they would release the Pro display or the Studio Display Pro in the summer that Ross Young is talking about, where if you plug in a MacBook Pro to it, it'll do ProMotion at 4K, and it will just output a lower resolution to prioritize the high refresh rate. Do you think Apple would do that, or is Apple the type that's like, no, we need everything to be 5K? It can't be any less than that.
I think they want everything be at 5K. Yeah. I don't say like their Retina number, right? Like they wouldn't want to drop the pixel density or the scaling all that much.
Yeah, I don't think they would ever software.
Well, I can
lock
imagine
something.
if they did, if they're launching this with a Mac Pro, the Mac Pro could have some proprietary connector that's not out yet, the Thunderbolt 5, or they could just give up and do HDMI 2.1 if they wanted, because that can handle 5K or 6K at 120 hertz. So they could just be like, in order to get the full res on this monitor and the full refresh rate, you need the $8,000 Mac Pro. But if you use this monitor with a MacBook, it will work. It just won't be at the full res. For the same reason, like, you can plug in an iPad Air, which doesn't have Thunderbolt, to a external monitor, and it won't necessarily be the full resolution, but it'll be... Or maybe it wasn't the iPad Air, but you could plug in an iMac Pro to a Pro display, and it would run at 5K instead of 6. Like, that was a feature. So I don't know if they're going to pull something like that again, where it's like, well, the Mac Pro does it best, but you can kind of still do it with a MacBook. That would be my ideal scenario, because the problem with the proprietary connection method, if this does have 120 hertz and it is over 4K, is that none of their current Macs being sold have hardware that can do it. No one has HDMI 2.1. No one has anything faster than Thunderbolt 4. So even the Mac Studio, everyone dropped $8,000 on the Mac Studio. You're like, nope, can't do it. You need a new one. It's like, would Apple do that?
No.
No?
I don't know.
So
I'm still thinking I'm going to find a cool software option, because there's a freaking A13 chip inside this panel. Like,
there is.
There has to be some way. And I know, I'm not saying that the studio display is going to just get a software update, 120 hertz. That's not going to happen.
No.
But
No.
with their willingness to stick an A13 chip inside of a monitor, maybe down the road, whenever they refresh this new monitor in about 12 years or so, we'll get that's how long it took them to refresh this. We'll get M1 or M15 chip inside of this monitor, and they'll do some kind of, because the way that was Sidecar is the feature's name, when your iPad will be a screen for your MacBook. It operates over Wi-Fi at a super low latency. I think it's like either 30 or 60 hertz, so it's like pretty low latency, all things considered, wireless transfer of 2000 by 1500 image. It actually doesn't send the full pixel readout. It sends like blocks and squares, and the iPad does processing to render the final scene. So like it's
like a live stream.
It's it's not even a live stream. It's like my friend described this to me, and I'm struggling to remember exactly what the details were, but the gist of it was the iPad is not receiving a pixel for pixel readout on every single refresh of 60 or 30 hertz. It's receiving changes and big squares and like when you move a window, it's not refreshing every line for the animation between as you're moving the window.
It's kind of like the H.265 format.
I think it's smarter than that. It knows the window, and it knows it needs to move to this position, so the iPad calculates the frames in between those two and does the smooth animations for that. Like, it's something in that regard, where the iPad is doing more processing than a standard monitor would. Now, that being said, they're not obviously going to make it wireless, but they could figure out some kind of standard similar to that, where they could compress 5K at 120 into 40 gigabits a second on a Thunderbolt 4 cable.
I hope they have something like that. I really hope they do, because that would be my dream scenario, just being able to have 120 hertz. And I don't care about it being 5K. It's like you can lower the res to 1440p for all I care. At an average viewing distance, it doesn't make that big a difference to me. But I can see motion from all the way of the back of the room, I can tell 120 from 60. But makes me nervous because I don't know how much longer I'm going to have to wait for that. And the fact that the hardware doesn't support it on my current
What are
MacBook
you
is
willing
definitely
to pay
kinda
for
scary.
it?
Up to I keep saying in my mind, because when I looked at the Pro Display in person, I was like, $3,000. I would pay $3,000 for this display, but that was 32 inches and it was thinner bezeled and it was XDR. So this is compromising in a few regards between the resolution, the size of the display, and obviously, even though the Pro Display was way more expensive than I wanted, even if it was cheaper, I wouldn't like that it was 120. But that only mattered once the MacBook Pro came out. Once the MacBook Pro got 120, I was like, oh, well, if you can do it, then you should all be doing it. So I guess the $3,000 number is still in my brain of like, I'd be willing to spend that much if the monitor was perfect. If it did everything I wanted, it had center stage, it had built-in speakers, it had thin bezels, had 120 hertz. So if everything is perfected and catered towards me just as well as the Alpine green is catered towards Randy, I would then be like, okay,
It's
that's
downloading
a lot,
everything
but I
right
can
now.
justify it.
I'm just waiting patiently like a good boy.
He's switching everything over, sweet.
Yeah.
But if
have
it's
too many
if it's short of
iPhones.
that, then I have a harder time justifying it. You do, yes, you do.
Yeah,
I do.
You need to
I feel
definitely
I feel gross
sell
right
a
now.
few more.
I feel like I'm the ideal apartment to get robbed right now, and people would make thousands off of me.
But you have iCloud lock.
I don't
on
know
all
how
of them.
much that happens. Yeah, if they're all locked anyway. Do people still steal
don't-
phones like that?
You see them on eBay still, like, you know, as you're looking for like a used phone or whatever. Oh, iCloud lock, iCloud lock. I'm like, who stole this?
What are they going for? Are they selling for very
Parts.
much?
Unlocked?
I mean,
Or locked?
no.
No, just locked, like stolen iPhones. Do people actually
on a
buy
Well,
those?
Apple's making
on
it hard.
the-
It's not like you can swap the displays anymore or whatever, you know? It's like,
no,
Right.
no, but there are devices out there on the not white market that you can
yeah.
bypass things, and in the right hands, it could be valuable enough. But that's the exception, not the rule.
I don't know. I haven't looked it up. I haven't
Are you
looked them up.
saying
I don't
you're
know
not a
if they're.
criminal, Drew?
I'm not. I've
Wow.
also I have the best iPhone for me already, so I'm not in the market for an iPhone. I haven't been
I'll
looking
tell you
very
what's
hard.
criminal. These gosh dang gas prices making me feel weird buying iPhones when I'm like, people
Driving
are
a Tesla, you're complaining about gas prices.
we're not 100% EVs
I'm
in
willing
this
to
household, my
spend-
friend. So I still have to hear the conversation.
I'm hoping to beat everyone to that. Maybe Nick will beat me, depending on how
Nick's
long
gonna
he keeps
beat
his
you
car.
probably. Yeah.
We'll see.
Hey, I wanted to talk
That's
about
an
this.
EV
I
question.
wanna,
I should have asked, but
yeah. Next time, next week. We'll forget. The display
Okay.
thing, with the studio display. To answer my own question, what I'm willing to pay for the perfect display, meaning the highest refresh rate, the highest pixel density, the biggest
Yeah.
screen, the brightest, you name it. Basically, a better Pro XDR. How do you beat the Pro XDR? You done. I think you just reuse that name for the 2022.
you make it
Pro.
cheaper.
You make it cheaper.
That's how you make
it
it better.
cheaper, and but then you have to have all these new 2022 stuff to it. I would pay stand included. Okay, can't believe I gotta.
Oh yeah, I should have clarified on that. 3,000 stand included. I'm not
Yeah,
saying 3,000.
I
for just
would
the
pay.
Yeah.
I would pay maybe up to $2,500.
Okay.
25 with me saying I could put the nano textured glass on it. Everything that you could do with the display now, that's what I will pay for the highest version of it, because the display right now.
So you're close already. They're close to your limit.
I say up to, reluctantly, begrudgingly, after taxes, all this stuff. Like, I don't want to pay a penny over $2,500 for the best display.
Okay.
It's not chip or no chip. webcam or no webcam, but there is a webcam, which is I'm including the factor of that price. These it can't be more than an iMac is my problem. Like if we're so close to iMac territory. No, I know. And that's
They're
and that's
all
my
over iMac.
that's my problem. That's the problem I have, where it's like I kind of want to vote with my dollar by saying I don't condone this. So I'm gonna actually wait and not get the studio display. I did not order it, and I'm not going to. I will wait until WWDC or whenever the Mac Pro with the M chip is announced and see what display would go with that. And I would make a decision off of that, because, like Nick said, it's going to be a very long time before there's another, cinema display type of thing. I'm not.
Oh yeah, they do not do this regularly.
No, I'm not in a hurry to I need to get it so I can get every minute of use of it like you would with an iPhone. I'm perfectly comfortable waiting and just to see what they're going to do. And one, as soon as now, how are they going to fix the webcam problem if it is a software thing? Two, what does the better version of this look like? This Pro XDR sequel. What does that look like? Do I get my, for me, do I get my little curved corners just as to add that little Apple Touch? Please, do I get something that can mirror the MacBook Pro now? Because right now, today, MacBook Pro has the best display. And so I will take the resolution that the MacBook Pro offers on a bigger screen, and I'll be okay. But
it has the best specs. It's just not the right size. That's the only issue.
And that's the thing. I wouldn't pay more than what I paid for the MacBook. But the MacBook gives you, RAM, SSD. It gives you an OS.
Yeah, it's a whole machine.
Everything.
Battery, keyboard, trackpad.
I can't justify so I would pay up to $2,500 after taxes and everything with me maxing out the Pro stand and the nano texture display. Realistically, I would be more comfortable with paying $1,300 to $1,500.
Do I have a monitor for you, Randy? $14.99.
$14.99.
I'll wait.
$15.99.
I'm gonna wait. I'll read the room.
I've kind of accepted that the monitors are going to be more expensive than the iMac, because especially now that we've transitioned away from Intel and we're going all in with ARM, we know for a fact the only difference between a standalone monitor and an iMac is basically a single chip.
Yeah.
The only difference is 813 versus M1. Does that actually cost Apple a lot to include? No. The most expensive part of the 24-inch iMac is the display. It is the body and the chassis, which is all part of the standalone monitor as well. That's why I think it would be the easiest thing in the world for them to just pop an M1 in there. Just be like, hey, if you want a bigger iMac, ta-da, have a chip. If someone doesn't like the white bezels in the chin, just even the binned one, okay? You don't even need. We know Apple ARM can work without fans, right? Throw in the cheapest binned M1 Pro chip. I bet even without fans, it would probably still be faster than the fastest M1. And throw that in the studio display. Sell it for $2,000. There's your 27-inch iMac refresh. Done. It's got center stage. It's got spatial audio. It's got a cleaner design. This is the closest we've ever been to my dream iMac concept. I'm so excited. But I'll be completely honest with you. I saw the Wall Street Journal's review of the webcam. I didn't think it was that bad. I think that it's... I think it's partially a little unfair. They were comparing it to an iPhone camera.
I was comparing it strictly to the MacBook. The MacBook is the it needs to meet this. It's not fair to do an iPhone. I get what you're doing with the LG thing. I was just, let me look at the studio. Let me look at the MacBook Pro.
It looked kind of like low light situation, and there was a bit of compression. I'll agree, it did not look the best out of the comparison, but I wasn't like, oh god, it looks terrible. I was like, oh, okay. It's a little compressed, but
no, I lost my appetite after I saw it.
It could be because it's a 1080p sensor that's trying to do center stage, so
is it just 1080p?
It's zooming in. Well, they said it's a 12 megapixel
Yeah,
but
that's what
they didn't want to say it's
12 megapixels should be
4K.
closer to 4K video.
Well, like iPads have center stage,
Yeah.
but they don't record at 4K on the front. They all do 1080p. I don't know how that works or why that works that way.
Again, the
Either way,
2018
just from all the-
iPad Pro is the best iPad because you can.
It is.
It really is.
That was another question I wanted to ask you guys, because there's actually been some software. Take it with all the salt in the world. There's been some Twitter guy who's been accurate in the past leaking some software stuff from the iPad. Basically, there was an app that he tweeted called, and I shivered when I read its name. It was a picture of the Final Cut Pro application on iPadOS with the name Final Cut Cloud.
No.
And I went,
No. 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 No.
is there any hope, do you think, for iPads to still get Pro software, or did we abandon that ship last year? I'll answer by saying I abandoned it last year. I don't think there's any hope, but do you guys have hope?
I'm one sober guy. I've cleaned up my act. I'm almost 1 year clean of drinking this iPad juice. I have. You want to talk about world's biggest heartbreak? It was iPad last year. That was my I was destroyed. Nick was broken about Series 7 being Series 7 later on in the year. For me, the Series 7s for me was watching iPad's software and even everything. Watching iPad last summer, I was just like, this is it. This is.
Because I saw some people saying like, "Oh, now that the M1 is on the Air and the Pro, maybe there's," and I'm like, "Stop it! Give up!
Stop it!
Get help!
Get some help!
No, get some. Yeah, no. Like, we have meetings every week about this. So this is my AA right here. So my A as in like the A chip.
A13 chip anonymous.
Yeah. I
Thing you don't have the Z.
So, no, I've abandoned all hope.
Arms
I
anonymous.
don't. Anybody can replicate. Anybody can fake an app like that. Any developer can even go in there. Not even that.
I agree.
It's
Very
so,
easy.
That
Very
is the
easy to
easiest
fake.
thing to manipulate, and it's been manipulated before. We've heard since 2019 or 2020. We heard for a few years now. Oh, Pro applications right around the corner, from credible leakers. Get the
Yep.
no.
I remember reading that back in 2018. Remember when the
Yes.
A12X chip came out? Everyone was like, "This is faster than some MacBooks. The chip is so fast, Apple just needs to improve the software." And then a year went by, and everyone said they just need to improve the software. And then a year went by, and they said Apple just needs to. So I've given up all chances, but I just want to get us all on the record in case we're wrong.
No.
That'd be quite hilarious.
Well, we haven't heard Nick.
This piece of hardware literally is peak iPad design. It is thin at 5.9 millimeters.
He's just bends it.
It weighs almost nothing at just under 2 pounds.
Perfection.
It also has a NASA logo. No, and like I had the fourth or fifth gen iPad Pro, like whatever one I had like a terabyte on. I don't even remember which one we're on. It was the one before the
Yes.
I think it was
LEDs.
third, but
It had the LiDAR
Yeah.
and all that stuff. And that was like a great device hardware wise, but the software's crap. Like there's no good pro software on the iPad, and
Nick can attest for those who have forgotten. Remember how much work you did on that iPad? You were doing all the
used it
podcast
as my
editing. You,
old-
He
Full-time
was
creative
kicking
device.
and screaming to convert over to Final Cut and Logic. I had
Yeah.
he was off screen. This dude was not going quietly. You would have thought that we were taking away his individualism,
you
his
were,
identity.
you were like it was
But nobody ran LumaFusion better than you. I will give you that every day.
Yeah.
That you were the best LumaFusion
You got it.
editor on it because of that. So,
which isn't saying much.
well, hey,
the
LumaFusion
reason-
is a beautiful software, which is why I don't
No,
care about.
totally.
Even if Final Cut was true, I would stick with LumaFusion.
Yeah. LumaFusion's definitely beautiful, but it has
Because
its
I
limitations,
guarantee,
for sure.
if Final Cut came to iPad, it would be just like how they have the Logic remote. It's gonna be limited. It's gonna be bricked. It's not gonna be.
It would have the fixed time head, just like Luma, right?
Yeah. So at that point,
It would be stuck in the middle.
Nope. I have no interest.
So,
yeah, no interest.
yep, we've been waiting a long time. I gave up a while back. Even if that did happen, for the record, even if they did come out with Mac OS on iPad or something like that, I already have the M1 Max in my MacBook, so that's why I left the iPad OS juice train with leaving everyone saying, if I buy another iPad, it will have to replace my MacBook. That's the only iPad I'll consider. It'll have to do everything my MacBook does and more in order for me to consider buying another one. Until then, I'm sticking with the 2018 models. If you are comfortable with LumaFusion, if LumaFusion's enough for you, get a 2018 Pro. Get a refurbished $500 iPad. You don't need to spend $1,000, $2,000 on
It's just the software.
M1 chip. The performance difference between A12X and M1 is going to be so small. But yeah, my AirPods are dying on me, but Randy shouldn't have that problem much longer.
I was waiting for an opportunity to bring that up. Do I have
Lucky SOB.
my photo?
Someone caved
Someone
on the
did
show.
cave.
I caved. I did it. I pulled the trigger. Oh, maybe okay. So I have to. What we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I finally was like, yeah, no, you know what? No, I kept going back. I was like, it needs to drop below 400. I guess pre-tax. But I am going to be. Yep, still right there. Keep saying 2 in stock. 90-day warranty is what made me pull the trigger. I'm gonna be honest. It was the 90-day return policy.
That's a long test period.
That is a very long. I will have my answer well before that, but I want to see.
Yeah.
What does this Amazon, their version of the certified refurbished kind of thing looks like? Because it even says it's not even going to guarantee that it's going to give me the Apple box. They can't promise that, but I will get this one.
Okay.
So I
Well,
am
who
getting the space gray because it's clean. Not everything has to be green.
He did it.
I did it.
It happened, ladies and gentlemen.
I got it.
Someone on the show will have AirPods Max.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
I'm doing
Randy.
it, and I will see.
My next question is,
Yeah.
will you get the audio jack cable for $35?
It doesn't do lossless, right?
No.
No. So you'll be wireless only then.
I will my monitor headphones like that is all my preamp right here that is recording this audio. Like the iPad, I understand what the AirPods Max, where it fits, what its place is, and for most things, AirPods Max is going to meet my requirement. When it comes to me doing very, very intricate audio mixing or engineering or mastering, I will use my headphones. When I stream, I will use my those same headphones. AirPods Max will be everything basically outside of this office, with the exception of probably doing our podcast now, because the foam tips still flawless, perfect in my ear. I don't feel them. I love how secure it is. I love how transparency is working right now, and I just remember how amazing transparency was on AirPods Max. It doesn't.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't.
You could hear better.
I could. Honestly, I could, and I have. I my biggest fear is that I'm going to lose my hearing at some point in my life, and I need something that's going to give me my hearing. Having those AirPod Max, sockets all right on my ears like that, I was like, oh. I mean, Nick was. I remember he was at my house. He's downstairs on my couch just chilling. I come downstairs out of my office and I see Nick on my couch up against the wall with the headphones with the AirPods Max, and his eyes are closed and he's just naturally smiling and he's just doing this, and my guy was in another world. He was in, I have never seen a more at peace Nick. Except him was, you suck, Nick. You suck, Nick. You suck, Nick.
He was listening to shooting Starship.
Wait, what?
Yay. Yeah, I mean, it's the closest
Like a
thing to going
shooting
on an
star.
acid trip without ever taking drugs, and or I wouldn't know, I've never done it, but I would just assume, like, looking at Nick and how at peace he was in his life, right there, I was like,
There's DMT and ANC. And he had ANC.
Hey,
Wow.
have you ever tried ANC? Wow, that's crazy, man.
Really opens your eyes.
Everyone had the same experience and saw the same.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's entirely possible. They had a little
I've
clip
done
of Joe
ANC.
Rogan saying entirely possible, like over all these things, and like they sync it up like it's entirely possible. Entirely possible. Entirely possible. It just kept compounding on itself.
Someone should do that with the EV podcast and then sync them all up when we say, I'm worried about the science.
I wish I remember when we said it. I want to find the original when Nick said it and we lost our minds because I was like we were on a different tangent. We were talking about something completely different.
Yes.
And you're like, Nick,
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, I'm actually really concerned about the Cybertruck. And we're like, where did that come from?
What?
What do you think I think about at night?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not my crippling depression or my loneliness. It's the Cybertruck.
That's the yeah.
Oh, goody.
I'm gonna die alone.
So, AirPods Max, we'll see. If I'm going to actually inspect, and I am going to be kind of picky about it. I know I'm getting it for as cheap as I could possibly get it so far.
Yeah, what'd you pay for it?
$398. After taxes, it was closer to
Okay.
like I think either 412, 420, something like that. I mean,
420, let's say that.
okay, 420. Yeah, that's a perfect number. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be extremely picky because I'm treating it like I'm buying a $400 device, and that means I am gonna.
Because you are.
I am. They said like you can't notice any wear and tear from a reasonable distance, blah 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 blah. But no, I'm gonna pixel peep equivalent to it, and I'm going to. If I see scuffs and stuff like that, I'm like, I might hold on to it for 3 months, and then I'll probably kick it back. And this was actually a strategic move about the 90-day thing. It is my suspicion we will see something with AirPods within 3 months. So this would be my
Maybe.
stopgap. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I see.
But I'm taking that chance. I'm gonna take that bet. If there's no blemishes
Okay.
or anything, if it's hardly used, if it's treated the way I've treated every Apple product and then returned them, I try to honestly respect. Unlike Nick, who just throws them down and kicks and all that.
Yeah.
I honestly try to respect it, knowing that someone's gonna come in and buy it, and I want to be as respectful as possible with them. So assuming I get the same quality treatment to these AirPods sent to me, I will treat it as if I'm keeping them for the long haul. But I suspect we will get some type of announcement in 3 months, and if I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong. But if I'm right, and we see some new over ears, then that's a conversation where I'm willing to have.
You'll be within your return window.
Yeah, because but the criteria for me to even consider doing any of that is the price has to be cheap. I'm not paying no $550 for nothing. Yeah, right. Closest to that is I'll buy an iPad mini if this iPad dies on me one day or something. Otherwise,
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It has to be in the 400 range, and I'm not saying no 499.99. I'm talking 400 range. It has to have lossless audio support, even if that means buying a $35 cable and there's some type of DAC that I can plug it into. I need to be able to. If I can replace my actual over-ear studio monitors that I have now, then that would be something business-wise worth upgrading to. Otherwise, no. I would find keeping these AirPods Max, assuming there's nothing aesthetically wrong with them. But I am going to be picky about it.
Sure.
If there's blemishes, scratches, or debris that I'm noticing, if it's scuffed, not so much the charge case, but if I do see something with the AirPods Max themselves, I'm like, I'll drag it out and then I'll probably just return them just because I don't want to spend that type of money and get imperfections.
I got you. Well, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and I'll give you guys my opinions on the studio hardware next week after I've been using it
Yes,
for a while.
that studio hardware is going to be awesome.
I hope so. Thanks all for tuning in. Have a great week.
See you
Bye.
guys.
Bye.